Hello everyone, welcome to Maths Easy again. In this video, we are going to quickly discuss about some useful information about calculating total resistance. Now, this is a very common skill that you need for A-level physics because there are a lot of circuit calculations where you need to know how this works. Now, the first thing you need to know is when there are n number of identical resistors of each resistance R are connected in series, the total resistance is simply n times R. This is a pretty simple one because all you do is you add the total resistors. For an example, when you have 5 identical resistors that are connected to each other, say for an example, each one is 10 ohms. So the total resistance is simply 10 times 5, which is 50 ohms. Now, I know this is a really simple one, but let's discuss a few other features of resistance. Now, when you have n number of identical resistors of each value R are connected in parallel, the total resistance is the value of one resistor divided by n. So, for an example, let's say we have 20 resistors that are connected in parallel. All of them are identical. Now, let's say each one is 100 ohms and you got 20 of them. So, I'm only drawing a few of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. You have 20 resistors connected like that. When you have 20 of them connected, the total resistance is simply the value of one resistor divided by the number of resistors. So that's 100 ohms divided by the number of resistors. In this example is 20. 100 divided by 20. So the total resistance is 5 ohms. Now, this is a pretty simple one again. If you think why this happens, because in this example, 1 over R total is equal to 1 over 100 plus 1 over 100 plus 1 over 100, like that. I have to write it 20 times. So this basically 1 over R total is 20 over 100. So R total is 100 divided by 20. So this is what really happens, but it's useful to know when you have certain number of identical resistors. Now, it's really important this only works with identical resistors. Identical resistors that are connected in parallel, the total resistance is the value of one resistor divided by the number of resistors. Now, let's think about another example. Say if you have a resistor and you have large number of 50 ohm resistors and you connected 100 of them in parallel with each other. So what's the total resistance? The value of one resistor, 50 ohms, divided by the number of resistors, 100. So the total resistance now is 0.5 ohms, like that. Now, here is another very important property of these resistors that we can use in a lot of calculations. So, when you have two resistors in parallel, the total resistance of this combination can directly be calculated using the idea that it is the product of the two resistors divided by sum. So, the total resistance is R1 times R2 divided by the sum of R1 plus R2. Now, it's really important that you understand this only works for two resistors. So, for two resistors only. Now, although there is such a limitation, it's very useful to know this one because there are a large number of questions where you have two resistors in parallel and you have to do these kind of calculations all the time. Now, let's get an example. Say you have a resistor and this one is 6 ohms and this one is 4 ohms. Now what is the total resistance? Total resistance is the product over sum. Product is 6 times 4. Sum is 6 add 4. That's 24 over 10. The answer is 2.4 ohms. Now this is a very useful thing. Now if you do the normal way, you exactly get the same answer. But this one can be very useful to do it really quickly. For an example, if you do the normal way, you can still get 1 over R total is 1 over 6 plus 1 over 4, and then just put it in the calculator or get the common denominator to be 12, and you get the same answer, 2.4. But this is usually a quicker way of doing it. When you have two resistors, all you need to do is product over sum. Let's have a look at another example. Here we have two other resistors. Now let's say the size of this resistor is 10 ohms, and the size of this one is 15 ohms. So what's the total resistance? Product over sum. Product is 10 times 15. Sum is 10 add 15. So that's 150 divided by 25. So the answer is 6 ohms. 6 ohms. Now, this just looks like a trick that you can use to, get the resistance value really quickly when you have two resistors. But if you won't understand the theory behind it, it's actually the formula for two resistors is 1 over R total equals 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2. Now, to get the common denominator, I'm going to multiply this one by R2, and I'm going to multiply this one by R1. Now 1 over R total is R2 plus R1, and the common denominator is R1, R2. Now take the reciprocal of both sides. The total resistance is R1, R2 is the product, R1 plus R2 is the sum. So that's where you get this product over sum. So you can use this straight away in many situations to get the answers relatively quickly and without using the formula directly. It does the same job, but please keep in mind it only works for two resistors and two resistors only.